Hey guys, Tyler2K here. Today we're going to take a look at the Season 2 patch notes for Leroy Smith. This is not a cold read-through on the patch notes. I quickly took a look through them. To be fully frank, they're pretty straightforward, so I don't think there's anything really deep theory we have to talk about. It's mostly just buffs and quality of life improvements for Leroy. So, yeah, if I make a mistake, please correct me. Like I said, I will have a little bit of theory in here, but overall, I think it's fairly straightforward. It's mostly like, hey, Hermit has some new ways to get into Hermit. Hermit has some new ways to cancel it. There's now some, you can now diagonal cancel Hermit, stuff like that, or Heat Burst and whatnot. So, again, a lot of quality life buffs. Nothing too crazy, but if I do make a mistake, please let me know. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So, Balance Direction for Leroy in Season 2, basically enhancements to his mid game. Overall, I'm sure if you're a Leroy player, you know this. Leroy has a wealth of very strong high options, a couple of mid options that are noteworthy, but not like a huge wealth of them. Also, Leroy has some issues with playing at beyond close range or range 0, range 1. Once you get down to like range 2, he has some major problems. So they're addressing the fact that he doesn't really have mids by adding more mids, and more importantly, more mids that are just like kind of similar to Sidestep 1+2 as a high. Mids that are both plus frames on hit as well as plus frames on block. But most importantly, they're plus enough for Leroy that he can actually go for Hermit pressure afterwards, which is really, really heartening to see. So basically, the first one they make a note of is to address this, back 3+4, a long-range mid-attack, that's his attack throw that's airborne, now no longer causes attack throw or knockdown state against a standing opponent. Now it's a +7 situation. We won't talk about the rest of it because we'll talk about it shortly. Okay, they spoil it. It's now safe on block, spoiler alert, as well as a brand new attack, Sidestep 3+4, that, like I was talking about, will enter into Hermit stance. Also, notice the range on Sidestep 3+4 is pretty good. And we'll talk about frame data later, but +8 is a nice breakpoint, very similar to like down 3-2 structure, entering the +8 where you have quite a few options to challenge from this position. Sidestep 3+4, then advancing mid follows suit with the strength of down 3-2. Okay, and then the forward staff, the forward 2+3 has now been sped up. The reason being that very few people would use it, simply because down back 2+3 was so incredibly strong. Also consider the fact that the down back 2+3 is only -14, really makes it like, okay, I want to go for a hell sweep that you can't low parry, and it's only -14 because it's a full launcher, right? Yeah, of course they're going to make the mid portion of it stronger, which is good. So the frame data is still bad. It's safe on block, but now now it's faster, significantly quicker to come out, which makes it stronger, and then kind of similar to the T7, we can use it at the wall to cause ground spike and whatnot. I won't get into that portion of it, but keep in mind, he still has that at his disposal if you want to do a lot of damage towards the end of your combo. Okay, Leroy has one basically brand new heat move, and that is back 1+2, causing natural hit knockdown and safe on block. Overall, I mean, with the strength of just like heat mode, like 1+2 being like hit confirmable, or not even hit confirmable, but like mash out and whatnot, probably not as good. We'll talk about it shortly, but at the same time, I think the more mids he has, the better. And I think this might have good range too, like yay-ish. Okay, not quite that far. Okay, but yeah, it looks like still further than his non-enhanced mode. So I mean, fuck it. There's more range on back 1+2. And spoiler alert, it's safe on block. Cool. I mean, right? What's not to like about it? Okay, brand new move from Hermit as well. He has an extension to Hermit 1, which is a Sabaki attack with Hermit 1-2. We will talk about that later. Also, yeah, I will talk about it completely later. Sorry. Also, even though they kind of flub what they're talking about, so previously Leroy could pop meter. This was an early patch, like V104 or something like that, where he can pop his heat smash out of stance. Now, out of Hermit, he can also pop his meter to do a bound effect. So if you want to chicken out, you want to stay in stance, but you don't know quite what to do, you can then be like, okay, I'm +3 in stance, but I don't know what you want to do, so fuck it, we pop meter. Now I'm +1 or +2. I'm out of stance. I don't have to worry about a couple different things screwing up my day. Also, furthermore, he can now throw cancel out of stance. So overall, spoiler alert, same thing. Diagonal cancel it now exists for Leroy out of Hermit stance. So he has even more options out of Hermit. Not the best, but same thing. He has more. What's not like about more moves out of stance? So that's good for me overall. Okay, brand new move. As shown, we have Sidestep 3+4. Sidestep 3+4 is a +8 option, leaving us in Hermit. So very similar to down 3-2 meta. The thing of note is on block, it is +5. It is +5. There we go. So we still have really good options out of Hermit in this position. Please note +5 and in Hermit 4 on frame 11 means that, video number 3, we can beat Power Crush and we can beat Rage Arts by going for it immediately. We don't have to worry about mistimed Hermit 4 interrupt by a Power Crush. We can always let this rock if we think they're going to mash out a Rage Art or Power Crush. And then, of course, it's -14, but not every character can launch -14, so it's not the worst thing. Also, furthermore, this is jailing, so as soon as they block the initial hit, they will block the full thing and then, -14 you afterwards. But it's nice that it's +5 into stance. One thing of note when it comes to +8, and this is regarding like just general kind of Leroy theory, and hopefully I have it on the right button. We'll find out, I guess. Okay, so Sidestep 3+4 +8. Our opponent hop kicks, right? So if we go for like Hermit 1, hey, we lose because we don't have enough frame data. But if we go for Hermit 3-4, we actually interrupt the opponent by 1 frame before he's able to go airborne. So similar to down 3-4 or down 3-2 into Hermit 3-4, the same thing applies. Okay, we think they're going to go for reversal or hop kick. Oh, Power Crush, we can beat it with a Hermit 3-4 to interrupt them. Please note, please note that Hermit 3-4, even on block, is still, well, actually, sorry, it's NC, of course. But on full block, it is -15, so you are taking inherent risk. Also, especially for a +1, it's still really risky over Hermit 3-4, but still you can beat Power Crush and hop kicks in whatever by taking the frame data and applying pressure there. Okay, he can also perform that out of Nimble Step. Nimble Step is basically Sidestep cancel. So from Nimble Step, he already could do Sidestep 1+2 for plus frame option, which we'll talk about the buff soon. So on block, it's +7. He can now also do a mid variation, which is our +5 if he blocks the attack. Otherwise, he also has, spoiler, Sidestep 4, which we'll talk about later. Can also be performed out of Nimble Step. But it's nice, like you cancel your stance into another plus frame option. Same situation on block, your opponent has to guess between Hermit 4 or an option like Hell Sweep, for instance, out of stance. So all good. Very nice brand new move for Leroy. Very, very cool. Okay, so he does have a new move. It's kind of disingenuous what they mean here. So he has a new move. So he can do Hermit 1-2. So for people who don't know, Hermit 1 in Tekken 8 is -10. That was a nerf to Hermit 1 in general. Consistently punishable. I don't remember if that was Tekken 8 or Season 4 they had changed it. So now instead it's like, okay, well, I think they're going to mash out or try to interrupt me. Well, I have Hermit 1-2 that we can rock with. In general, Hermit 1-2 has a really big window for hit confirming. So that's really nice. Hey, we want to see between our hit confirm and then high option. That way, if they block the mid, they can just duck under it. We want to make sure that we're not going to put ourselves into a bad position where we overcommit and they launch punish us, right? So we have a hit confirm off of Hermit 1-2. Now, the nice thing, if you notice, with this animation, the Hermit 1-2 animation is basically the advancing elbow option. So this actually is very similar to his old Hermit 2-1, where the second hit on counter hit was a counter launcher causing stun. So we can use this as a chicken option, like, oh, we can use that hit confirm, and then, typical combo afterwards. Good amount of damage, fairly consistent now in Season 2 especially, but it's nice. We have a chicken option with a confirm, and it's like we also still retain the +28. I think they talk about it later, so like I said, we'll get to Hermit 1 later, so it's weird that they split it up like this, whatever. Okay, brand new move. We have what do they call it? Outcast Dark Deluge, which is quite the name. So on natural hit, it causes knockdown state, where I assume Forward Pursue is guaranteed. I assume Forward Pursue is guaranteed with buffer. Maybe up 4/3+4s, but maybe better. Maybe they want you to do that. Okay, maybe micro dash up 4/3+4. Okay, I don't know. Whatever. Fuck it. I clearly didn't do enough homework there. But the one thing I can tell you is that it still retains its counter hit property on hit. What's interesting to note is that because it's heat enhanced, this is safe on block, as shown earlier as well. It has more range than a normal back 1+2. So instead of it being like a 1-inch punch, it's more like a 2-inch punch or 3-inch punch, depending on when you're getting out of a cold pool or whatnot. So it's important to note that. But also what I really like about this back 1+2 is that you have a lot of them. So for the character Leroy being kind of overall like mediocre in season 1, you know, typically it's like, okay, we pop our meter, we spend our meter off of 1+2 hit confirming. Like everything is costing us meter here, but then at the same time he has the heat gun, and he can do it like 3 times, which is kind of cool. Outside of what do you call it? Outside of our heat engager, so that's very, very nice. So out of curiosity, I just want to see if this has any tracking properties. Okay, that's nice. That's one way. Okay, so it doesn't track to our left, but it does track to our right. Also, furthermore, out of curiosity, does normal gun track? No, it doesn't. Wow. Okay, that's a nice little also change to his system too. I mean, that's kind of cool. So we think if the person's going to disrespect our frames at -1 here, we can gun them. Oh, well, that didn't work. Okay, inconclusive. Whatever. But yeah, it's still nice to have access to like a free gun attempt. Like that's super nice to have that. And then I think Leroy, if I remember correctly, has ways to get additional meter generation too going on. So you might be able to extend it for beyond 3 hits to a 4th hit or whatnot. Okay, as talked about, Hermit Stance can now be diagonal canceled. Out of Hermit Stance, you can now perform Heat Burst, performed as either 5 or 2+3 if you want to use the real input. As talked about, you know, in season 1 they did buff it such that you can perform meter here, but yeah, you can basically go full root. I guess technically you can't anymore, but yeah, you can pop meter. So either gain heat burst or heat smash if you think your opponent's going to disrespect you at plus frames, because keep in mind heat smash is 15, and then this of course goes through armor, parries, you name it. It goes through everything except for rage art. So if you want to execute, let's say on your +8, you know, they think they're going to mash out rage art, you know, you win in this position. Well, if it would track, you would win. At +8, down 3-2, meter pop. Okay, you can't rage art, you can't power, or you can't rage art. Rage art's more important. Heat burst in power, whatever. None of those can matter. Who gives a shit? Okay, so diagonal cancel, you get the full kit and caboodle. Up forward 1 gives you the parry. If you'd rather have a advancing attacking parry versus a back 2 parry, keep in mind the frame data in this game are basically identical in the parry frame. This is just you're doing an attack, this one is you're whiffing an attack. The recovery speed roughly the same. Up forward 2 is your advancing, my stick still has problems. Up forward 2 plus frame option. Obviously the wall bounce is gone, but I think it still causes knockdown. Yes, it does, and or wall splat. You can perform the safe mid cancel up forward 3 out of stance if you want a low crush. If you want to go for a slightly slower but more advantageous low crush, you can always go for orbital up forward 4, which is safe on block. This one I'm really happy about. Out of stance, you can cancel into throw. So if you think the opponent's going to go for a power crush or reversal, and you don't really want to commit to an option like Hermit 3-4 because it's launch punishable, you can cancel instead with an I-12 option. So keep in mind the same thing applies, right? Sidestep 3+4 +8, or sorry, +5 on block into a 12 frame throw. They cannot beat it with rage art or even any sort of power crush, right? That's a clean win. So we want to chicken out, go for our throw. You know, keep it simple. Because keep in mind, if you chicken out at +5 and go for a 16 heat smash or heat burst, they can rage art you and win, and or power crush you and win there. So keep that in mind. So throwing is great, a great way to chicken out and go for something very quick. A 12 frame high that can't be reversed is huge. Now, if only Lydia has that. I don't know if she does, by the way. Okay, during Hermit Stance, up 4-3, 1+2. Basically, same thing, diagonal cancel with up 4-3. I guess you can technically just do up 4-3 as well, but it's also still punishable. And then also a very crazy one. You can now perform your staff out of Hermit, or 2+3, of course, safe on block, or the damage 2+3 to cancel. So similar idea. Okay, hey, we're +8, and now we go for our 16 and push through if we think they're going to go for a parry reversal or anything like that. Technically, I guess, Jin and Leroy can parry it. Everyone else is going to have to hold this. It will be a launcher if you think they're going to try to sabaki it, for instance. Okay, this one I haven't found a real good use for it yet, unfortunately. Basically, out of, I think it's this one, out of the back to parry, we can meter pop. The only issue here is that even if you get the blue spark parry, the heat smash is still not guaranteed. Now keep in mind, they might go for something that's slower, that your parry goes through and you can cancel it. But typically against jab, like, it doesn't work against jab. So in my opinion, a little bit devalued. I mean, it's nice to have it, don't get me wrong. But okay, we're +6 into Hermit Stance. But yeah, I mean, they can still guard, so I don't know. In certain scenarios, maybe it's super strong. Maybe if you want to lock them down at the wall, and you have meter still going on, parry, hit your 5, and then, they're -6 against the wall, and you have 50-50 for free in that position. But yeah, I was expecting it to be still guaranteed, but okay, it makes sense that they unfortunately didn't do that. Okay, so as talked about, the Hermit, the Nimble shift, so sidestep. Again, we can go high, we can go mid, and now we can also go for, and I don't want to spoil this yet. We can also cancel into sidestep 4, which is really nice to have access to a plus frame low, a +12 frame low on counter hit, because they're not going to buff sidestep 4, right? So that's nice to have access to that out of stance. Okay, this also one I don't really understand. They've changed input of Hermit, the Hell Sweep, to Hermit back 3-2. Please note, you can still perform it as 1+2. I guess someone said probably at Namco or on Twitter, hey, he's using his right arm. Why is it 1+2? And they're like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it, you're right. Whatever, you can change the input. I don't fucking know why they did that. Whatever. Okay, I like fucking, I don't know, bro. Well, whatever. Okay, cool. Now it can explicitly be hit as back 3-2. I don't know, bro. Okay, is this the one where he's jabbing? No. Let's go ahead. Let me set this one up. Okay, so one of the buffs that Leroy has received, down forward 3+4, has gone from a -9 to a -2. Also, it has more reach now, period. So, like, it would used to reach, like, roughly here. Now I think we can get, like, at here. Yeah, that's pretty good. Because keep in mind, the down forward 3+4 is a natural hit launcher, instant tornado spin. Of course, if they go airborne, similar idea. It causes the spin. Very similar, obviously, to an option like Hermit 2-3, which is the same kind of idea, right? Well, we're in stance, Hermit 2-3. Same move, just instead of stance, we hit down forward 2+3. Now, the major buff as talked about is that it's no longer -9. It's now -2 on block, which is a huge deal. We already talked about video number 3. But basically, that means we can start using Hermit, down forward 3+4 as a trap. So we can both go for Duck Jab Hit Confirm, +3 option into Hermit. We can go for Power Crush, Turn Steal. Sabaki should work on this frame. Or the Big Daddy, we Turn Steal with Rage Art because we're only -2. Keep in mind, if we were -3, this trap wouldn't work. But this is a very similar trap to basically like a generic down 4 in older games at -2. So yeah, that's super, super nice. To have a launcher that's -2 with more range, that's very, very, very good. So be prepared. I mean, I don't know how like prolific Leroy is going to be going forward, but okay, you have it. It's there. Okay, 4, 2 plus 3 is now 16. Well, I turned on my turbo. I wish I could turn that off. That's the only complaint I have about the Titan stick, by the way. Okay, so instead of 22, this is now 16. As talked about earlier, this is a weapon-based attack, so you cannot reverse it, sabaki it, whatnot. You can power crush it, you can parry it, but you know there are certain characters who can't deal with it apart from power crush. But now, yeah, it's same frame data on block, same thing on hit. So afterwards, I don't know, we can go for like dash up for 4-3, down 3-2, or I don't know, advancing jab 4-3, like rolling punch 4, something like that. We can still go for whatever you want. And let me go ahead and turn off a rage. But yeah, it's faster now, so there's nothing to hate about that. To be honest, I mean, there was an issue back in the day where it was too slow to come out. They can mash out. Obviously, ever since, you know, whatever, patch 106 or 107, whichever one it was, where you get hit during the animation, the staff doesn't actually come out until the 16th frame or the 22nd frame. So if you got hit on frame 21, you wouldn't get interrupted. But now it's coming out faster. But the same applies. If you get hit on frame 15, you don't spend the staff, despite the fact he is physically pulling it out. So yeah, that's definitely nice. Okay, back 3 plus 4 is now safe on block because it no longer causes knockdown state. Instead, it gives you clean plus frames, plus 7. Keep in mind, you're not in stance. They're not in full crouch. So maybe down plus 2, down 4-4-3 trapping. I mean, you could go for done if you're feeling yourself, but I would probably stay away from it. But it's safe on block. Keep in mind that against an airborne opponent, it still causes your attack throw. Also, furthermore, against wall state, you don't get a resplat or anything. It's just a wall break animation afterwards. So, yeah, it has a little bit worse tracking against sidestep. By a little bit, a lot worse. But for the realistically thing, I mean, the knockdown was probably over-tuned to begin with. Really silly move to have a steel pedal that if they go airborne, you win, or it just knocks down for Oki and or attack throw. With that being said, I guess Leroy was really bad. You know, arguably bottom 3. So whatever. Okay, that's why they're saying it a nerf. I think that's fair to call it a nerf and a buff. Okay, 4-4-3. Adjusted behavior on block. So now it has a little bit of a stagger pushback. Also, is this still active for a lot of frames? Yes, it is. So it can be still plus frame. The big change to it, of course, is no one cares about its property on block. Against airborne opponent, we now have a strong aerial tailspin option. So, for instance, do one of these into Rage Art to finish your combo. Go for 4-4-3 into our attack throw and still deal more damage. The only issue is, even though we're doing one more point of damage, the back 3 Hermit 2-3 structure is still better for carry because, as mentioned, the airborne attack throw doesn't cause proper wall splat. I'm messing up my timing big time. Down 3-2. Meter pop, and then, yeah, and or Rage Art, continuation, 1+2 option, whatever you want to do afterwards. Okay, so yeah, like I said, it was weird that they separated the notes on Hermit. So on hit, the opponent is now left closer. That's probably because, again, you can hit confirm Hermit 1-2. And then on counter hit, this is like the major one. Counter hit, it does now the same property. We get the same thing. There's no special animation. If our opponent mashes out, which, let me go ahead. I think that would be under defensive. And I think we can use this one. So restart it. Do this. So when we sabaki the opponent, yeah, we no longer get the counter hit anyway. The counter hit is completely gone. Instead, of course, it's just the full root hit confirm. Please note that if you extend with Hermit 1-2, it's the same animation as Hermit 1. So there, notice how it's exactly the same. Yeah, so it's the exact same thing. Regardless of me hitting the Hermit 1-2, still during the sabaki, we don't get anything extra. The Hermit 1-2 is specifically against the standing opponent. So maybe it's always a good idea to stagger the 1-2, just fishing for the timing. Or, you know, if you want to let it rock right away, to try to fish for the counter hit launcher immediately. Either way, even on max delay, you still get the counter launcher. So please note that I'm not trying to be, disingenuous there in that sense. Okay, now here we go. This is the really, really big one. So sidestep 4 on counter hit is not plus 12 anymore. It's actually plus 14, allowing us to go for a 1+2 option. Please note that the scaling has been reduced from 100 to 70 simply because 1+2 on 14 is a heat engager. Also similarly by the wall, that allows us to go for a full wall splat, whereas previously 2-2 would just be +7 without a wall splat afterwards. But yeah, this is a massive, massive buff. Because from here, you can go for, I don't know, like face roll combo. Hold forward, do it again. Like, that's pretty good, right? A lot of damage. So yeah, that's a massive buff. As talked about earlier, you can perform this at a shift for sidestep 4 canceling, and still granting the 1+2 option, which also complements his kit already. Back 3 into Hermit 1+2, or what else would I be looking for? I mean, in general, you can just hit confirm this because only -2 anyway on block. I can't think off the top of my head. My apologies. Okay, so that's sidestep 4, and then finally, sidestep 1+2 has also been buffed, which is nice indeed. So sidestep 1+2 now gives us a knockdown animation rather than being like I think it was like +14 or something like that, rather than +7. So keep in mind, on block. So of course you're still +7 on block, but now you have the added benefit of by the wall, causing knockdown into wall splat. So we open field +25, maybe down +2, running 3 pressure afterwards, post knockdown. They have to hold incoming for +6 option. Maybe you want to let the meter pop right away. Keep in mind they're in a guard state. You're too far, looks like, for probably down back 4. Definitely too far for like down back 3-2. So maybe meter pop's not the best, but let's see. Can I do a low meter pop? No, we're too far. I'm saying that might be a little bit too strong if we could pop the low hell sweep instantly. So that makes sense. But yeah, the benefit, of course, is the plus frame option on block, +7 regardless. And then at the wall, we get the clean wall splat. And again, we can mash it out to our heart's content with 1+2. So that's pretty nice. And I believe that's it for the buffs and or changes. So thoughts on Leroy? Definitely buffs. He is... a lot of the issues are definitely being addressed with his just general mid presence. That was really one of the most frustrating things of Leroy going into Tekken 8 was the fact that, for instance, them changing forward 1+2 to be just forward 1+2 and a power crush means that at this range you no longer have a really long range presence, as shown committing to an option like up forward 3+4 at mid range, either -14 or -13 full commit. Right? The only thing we can really go for is down 1+2, but unfortunately, like you see there, down +2 is a far cry from the reach of forward 1+2, and then furthermore, forward 1+2 for the extra range for T7, which was presented there, right? So, what do we do? Like, what is the opponent afraid of? They eat a back 4. Look at, they get pushed back, kind of back to the long range where we can longer press very for free, and we're only +4 to begin with, so it's hard to lock down our opponent and use that frame advantage to our advantage. But now with a new option, like for instance sidestep 3+4, which is our advancing mid, +8 on hit, +5 on block, is a massive buff. Little things also, like the fact that you no longer have to go for Hermit forward 4 on 26. You can now go for Hermit up forward 3 or up forward 4 on 23 is also a big deal. Because keep in mind, if you go for like a +8 and you go for this, you lose to a hop kick, you lose to a down forward 2. But if you go into down 3-2, into Hermit up forward 4, you now trade at the bare minimum against hop kicks. You now trade against generic down forward 2s. So like that alone is a massive deal. The ability to cancel out of Hermit with not just more options, more pressure, low options you have to guess constantly, but the fact that you can OS or take away OS options against your Hermit stance is majorly strong. So I definitely give him a +1 there. Regarding his Season 2, like just general bullshit, he's pretty close to a double arrow, but I don't think he's close enough. So the improvements to Hermit are great, but as we had shown earlier, like for instance, to execute on our +8, if we think they're going to power crush, for instance, we either have to make a Hail Mary call by going for a Hermit 1 parry, which doesn't launch anymore, right? Or we go for Hermit 3-4, which at the end of the day is pretty fucking punishable for what it does. So still, unfortunately, to execute on certain frame data, you have to take major inherent risk. Again, 1-2-4, still +3. Down forward 1-4-3, wall stand 1-4, +3. Or wall stand 1-4 now, +3. Down forward 1-4, +3. All these +3s put us on the back foot, where, again, Hermit 4 on 11 can be power crushed. It can be rage hearted. So we constantly have to guess. So now that we have like modern Season 2 moves where we're either +8 or +7, hey, we can start doing things. But our 10 frame is still dog shit in the grand scheme of things for applying pressure and unfortunately putting the Leroy player on the back foot. So if he got even bigger quality of life buffs, like let's say 1-2-4 was now +4 instead of +3, I would probably give him a double arrow. So the Season 2 stuff is pretty nice, but he still is a little bit lacking on what makes the other characters very, very oppressive and strong. So I wouldn't give him a 2. I think 1.5 is pretty fair. Maybe it's a titch above 1, but 1.5 I think is more accurate than 1, simply because, yeah, he definitely got some nice little Season 2 things. He just doesn't have that super long-range homing mid out of stance that quite a few characters have now, that obviously is still missing from his kit. Because, they gave him mids. Can't give him too many good mids, though, because that, it's not fair, fair to top tier. But yeah, this should probably be pushing him to at least mid tier. With that being said, in like Namco's defense, there are a few things that they could add to him that would probably take him way too far. So I have to respect the fact that they did buff him. They could have went ham, and in making something like 1-2-4 +4 isn't oppressive, but they could have went a little bit too crazy. Like Leo is a great example of a character who got excessively buffed, and Leo didn't really need those type of buffs. So for the most part, they're addressing Leroy's problems, and I have to give props to Namco. So 1.5 stars, definitely buffed. If I made a mistake, please let me know. Time code to set mistake. Apart from that, I will see you guys in the next video, and I'm not sure who I'll review next. Maybe Jack. Okay, later, guys.